Well, good morning, everyone. And my name is Kerry Brown, and you are either listening to or watching Hangout with Coach Kerry. Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific, if you want to watch us live, or you can always watch us on YouTube, or go to my website, HangOutWithCoachKerry.com. Kerry spelled Kerry, so HangOutWithCoachKerry.com, and this is the 41st episode. Yay! And this episode is called Shake It Up, Shake It Up. Now, not to be confused with Taylor Swift's Shake It Off, Shake It Off. However, I am going to say this is about shaking it up, mixing things up a little bit, doing things a little differently. So if you are an entrepreneur and maybe a solo entrepreneur and you find yourself on a daily, on a weekly basis, sort of saying do the same things, the routines, and results aren't changing, and you want to really know what do you have to do in order to shake things up a little bit, well, today's episode is just for you. I'm really excited because I have two of my VIP panelists on here today to challenge Coach Kerry with some questions about how to shake up things to get some different results. And so what I'm going to do is have them introduce themselves to you, and I'll start with you, Bonnie. Tell us about you and why people might want to find out more about what you do.
Good morning, Kerry, and thank you for having me on. And I can't believe we're already at the 41st episode. It has gone very quickly. I'm Bonnie Mitchell, and I own a boutique graphic design company, Mitchell Creative. And I help businesses all over the world increase their sales and revenue by creating a complete complement of effective marketing material that targets their ideal clientele. So because your brand appeal is a big deal, with every project, I also take the time to review companies' logos, their brand colors, and any other materials they're using that solidify their brand. And I'll make tweaks to that and offer suggestions that may help them in their future marketing endeavors. And I can be found at bonniemitchell.ca.
Great. Thanks, Bonnie. Really appreciate that. That's great. And Grace, tell our audience about you and how they can and why they'd want to know more about you.
Good morning, Kerry. I'm Grace Gary, and my business is Graceful Solutions, and I'm a counsellor, and I help people to get past roadblocks in life that get in their way of getting what they want. I have a special interest in emotional eating, and I have a course coming up this Wednesday, a 4-week course called Control Your Mind, Control Your Weight. So my website is gracefulsolutions.ca.
Great. Excellent. Good. All right. So, for those of you who are watching this live, this is still the first month in 2015. So, again, I'm figuring it's time to shake it up, shake it up. So, time for some questions around this particular topic. So, Bonnie, I'm going to have you ask me, why don't we start with you?
Well, first of all, I'm wondering, what is it we do shake up, and how much do we shake it up?
Great question. And in fact, it's often the strategies we're using. So we want to take a look at the strategies. And if you have not been watching other episodes, strategies is a term that I use when we're talking about whether it's marketing, whether it's a sales strategy, whether it's a customer service strategy, any of the systems you put in place, all of that. However, my guess is you're wanting to know how to increase your sales, how to get more customers or more clients. In fact, how to generate more predictable income. And if that's the case, then there's the 3 things, kind of like the triad that I call it, that you really want to take a look at. One of them is, what are the marketing strategies? Number 1, what are your marketing strategies? And list those all out so you're really clear on them. What are your sales strategies? Or do you have a sales strategy? And what that means is that once you've got someone who's called you, or you've had some kind of an introduction from some marketing strategy that you're doing, that what process do you take them through? What are the steps that you walk them through in order to have the logical conclusion that they're going to that they're actually going to hire you or buy your product or your service or whatever it happens to be? And then the third thing in that triad is customer service. And customer service, I would venture to guess that most everybody, and Bonnie, you would, I'm sure, agree with this, is that you provide really good customer service when you've got the customer sort of front and center. You're currently working with them, let's say on a graphic design, or Grace for you, when someone's actually a counseling client, or they're in one of your workshops, that you provide really good customer service. But what I'm talking about is customer service that is all-encompassing. So that's the first point of contact with you. How do you treat them? What's their experience that they have with you? And post as well, because all of these pieces will determine, are you creating raving fans? And if you're creating raving fans, then you're getting referrals. So back to the question, how do you decide, and how much do you shake it up? Well, really, you want to look at all of those and ask yourself, am I happy with those results? Am I getting the results that I want from those? And if the answer is no, then look at each one of those and ask yourself, have I been measuring this? How do I actually know that I'm not happy with the results in this? My guess is you're kind of doing things a bit maybe by the seat of your pants. And you're not able to say, from this particular strategy, I convert 50% of those people into clients, or 25%, or 75%. So the first thing you have to do is you have to start measuring here forward all of those things. So then you'll know what's underperforming, what's getting you the results, and what isn't getting you the results. Because as you know, the definition of insanity is what? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So this is that shake it up piece. We don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And if you have things that you're getting great results on, but when you look at it, say, I know that if I just did this or this, I'd get better results, then that's what you shake up. Now, I'm going to caution all of you. I don't want to get you into overwhelm. So you pick one and you shake that up. Then once you've got that working, whatever that happens to be, then you're going to do another one and shake it up. So doing things over and over again, you won't get different results. You will get exactly the same results. So what we want to do is shake things up a little bit. Start looking at other businesses in your community, people that you're paying attention to, people that you may be subscribing newsletters, getting their newsletters. What are they doing to shake things up? Start being really observant of other people in the marketplace, especially those people that you like, like, and trust. It's really key that you watch those, because they will also give you some clues as to maybe other ways that you can shake things up. So back to your question, what do you shake up? Well, take a look at all of those pieces of your business and ask you, are there any of those areas that are really underperforming? Or am I doing things just because I've kind of got into a rut, and do I need to change things up? Am I getting the income, or am I getting the results that I want from this? Am I getting the number of referrals? If the answer is no, then we want to shake it up a little bit, and we want to say, what can we do differently? And then you can measure those results. Because if you've done this one thing differently and you're getting different results, then that's what's called a KPI in business, what's called a key performance indicator. That that if you make X number of calls a week, let's say it's even just the number of follow-ups you do or the number of outreaches you do, that if you have increased that number, and that by making 10 of those a week you're going to get these results, then that's a KPI. You need to do that consistently over and over again. And when you drop off that, your results will be affected by that. So take a look at that and really look at all of the aspects of it to shake it up. Now, Bonnie, did that answer your question? It probably answered it and more. And did it raise another question for you?
Actually, yeah, that did answer my question. Thank you very much. And the other question actually I have for you is, when you shake something up, how long do you do it for to know if it's working or not?
That's a great question. And there's no direct answer to that, because what it really depends on is how long is your cycle. For an example, certain businesses, you might be able to meet someone one day, and within 7 days, if you've had some connection and discussion with them, that they might hire you to do that particular work. Grace, you might find out that if you're meeting somebody at let's say at a networking event, and you've had a conversation with them and you followed up with them, they might join your 4-week program, for example. And Bonnie, you might meet somebody as well, and they're, they're ready to do something, so they can make a fast decision. So I would say in that situation, 90 days is a really good way to test something. And so that means the focus, putting the stamina, being that persistent and consistent with whatever that strategy is, so then you can, and of course measuring the results you're getting while you're doing that. So 90 days. Now if you're in a business where you might be converting people from one service provider to you, or at least that's where a pool of your clients may come from, well, then that's going to be a longer process, because you're going to have to build the know, like, and trust factor with them. And converting people takes longer. Switching accounts, will take longer, because there's all of that thing that the people have to wrestle with, which is the personal relationship that they've built with someone else. So in every situation, what you want to do is you want to stop and ask yourself, what's my cycle? What does it normally take someone in order to make a decision? What does it, what does that have to do? For me, for an example, for mine, my cycle is actually quite long, unless someone's actually shopping for a coach. And most people aren't shopping for a coach. They know that they need issues, or that they have issues. They know that they need help. They really don't know what that might look like. And so for me, I have to build the know, like, and trust factor with them. So the faster I can build know, like, and trust, the shorter I can shrink what's called my sales cycle, which is the point at which I've done a marketing strategy, is generated interest, we've had a conversation, and they make a decision to hire me. That's called a sales cycle, that process that someone goes through. And so you look at your sales cycle, determine what that timeline looks like, and ask yourself, could I be doing something to shorten that up, maybe, if it's a longer one? Or what things can I be doing to build the know, like, and trust factor, so that people see me as being the expert, that they see me as being knowledgeable, that they see me as being the person who can solve their problem, the issue, the challenge that they're currently having. And the more you do that, then you'll be able to shorten up that sales cycle. So Bonnie, again, there's no direct answer to that. I think you find a lot on these shows that there's not a direct yes or no answer in it. It's always well, these are factors that you've got to take into consideration. And that's why business is so tricky. That's why it's really challenging when you're working on your own, because it's so easy for you to fall in love with your own ideas and your own notion and your own way of looking at things. So that's why, again, I'm talking about shaking it up, because I want you to, kind of turn some things on their head, look at things from a different perspective, and often then that'll give you the opportunity to be able to say, okay, how could I do things differently? So, great, thank you. So Grace, how about for you? How about a question for me that you might have regarding this whole notion of shaking up what you're doing?
Well, it's been really interesting to hear what you've already said, Kerry. I mean, I'm in the business of helping people shake things up, because as a counsellor, they're trying to change something that's not working for them, and they're trying to find the new thing that will solve the problem. And of course, that also applies to me as a business owner. So I guess my question is, how can coaching help with the shaking it up? Because I know for myself, when I'm trying to change things, some of it is to know how to change and what to change, and then it's to maintain the change. And certainly I have found coaching helpful for that. So I wanted to know what you'd like to say about that.
That's great. And in fact, I would say that all three of us on this particular episode are really in that position, because Bonnie, when you have a client that's been doing things a certain way in terms of their marketing, that's your job to have them shake it up as well and look at it from a different perspective. And certainly for you, Grace, as well, to do that, and for me. From the coaching perspective, the good news is that, or the great piece about coaching, which is why it works, is because there's some accountability that's in it. I don't know if you can read or see my banner behind me, but there's 3 real components to change. And the first thing is clarity. So becoming clear on what the issue or the problem happens to be. And that, Grace, that you deal with that with the people in your workshops, and you do that with people one-on-one as well. What really is kind of the issue? What's the thing that's caused the upset, or for me and my business, what it is that are the particular challenges? Because often when people think it is, it may not be that. So we have to uncover that. So clarity is the very, very first thing. In fact, I did a day of masterminding intensive last Friday where I had a group of savvy women in business together, and I reviewed this with them because really, the day was part of clarity first. Then the second step is strategies. So what are going to be the strategies to overcome what we now know happens to be the issue or the challenge? And that's, again, what Grace, you'll do, and Bonnie, you'll do as well, because you'll be looking at, okay, this is the issue, how do we actually strategize, and what do we do to move things forward and shake things up a bit? And often people think that's where it stops, and that's why so many bookshelves are filled with books and home study programs that people aren't really using them anymore. Or that's why people end up going to seminars and now come on a high, and a week later they're back to their old patterns again. And we actually, I jokingly call that shelf help that happens. And it can even be from practical business strategy, things that we've learned and we're not implementing. And it can be at the personal development end of things too, and personal issues. But that third thing is so critical, and that is accountability. It's knowing that you've made a commitment to somebody else, knowing that somebody else has kind of eyes on you, that you're being watched, that you have made a commitment to somebody else, and that it's a promise. And most of us take our promises and our commitments really that we make to other people really important, but we know how quickly we let ourselves off the hook or we justify things. So accountability to another person, and somebody that we have respect for, somebody that when we show up and we fess up to what we've done that or haven't done, that they're not going to be mean, but we know that we've made a commitment to them, and it's important that we follow through on those commitments. So having that accountability piece in place is absolutely critical. And that's often why business partners aren't able to hold each other accountable. That's why friends and family, well-meaning, aren't really able to hold you who are watching this accountable. It's because we've got a pre-existing relationship there, and they don't want to really be hard on us, and we don't have that business kind of respect that's in place. So that's why, Bonnie, when you say to your clients, well, from my perspective, this is the way things needs to be done. This is how we need to shake things up in your business. Because you're a professional, they'll look at you with respect, and they'll hear what you have to say. The same thing for you, Grace, is that when you're there and you're using your skills and knowledge as a skilled counselor, that you're going to have them shift their perspective and look at things in a different way. And that's why people need to come back over and over and over again, because they might say, oh, this is great, this was a great session, but then they go and then they fall back into those patterns again. And it's really good to keep reminding people that they need to be consistent and need to be, shaking it up from time to time and challenging that. So that's why coaching works. That's why it's become a huge phenomenon, and different from consulting, is that you'll go to a consultant to get a piece of information, you're in, you're out, it's done, or they come into your business and they do something and they go out. Like my IT consultant, for an example, they'll come in to fix a problem with my computers or our network or whatever that it happens to be. Then I'm not having to be in touch because there's no shift in pattern or no shift in philosophy or perspective or anything else that needs to be done. But that's very different than a coach, because a coach is there to be with you for long term. Every single successful athlete in the world has a coach, and has maybe multiple coaches depending on what they are. From golf, they'll have a swing coach, that they'll have a coach that works on the mental game. You look at all of the athletes that are out there, and they have them. And Fortune 500 to Fortune 100 CEOs, they have coaches as well. So they understand it's that piece. It's that final piece, not just that's not the only one, but that final piece. So the three: clarity, strategy, and accountability. And that's why coaching works, because we don't come and leave, we consistently are there. And that's why even for you, Bonnie, for you is those clients will come back and repeat again, because it's not just the one thing, there's other things they have to do. So being accountable to you that they're moving things forward, they're implementing the strategy. That could be a great piece for you to add to your business as well, is check-ins to see how things are going. And Grace, I know for you, of course, that long-term relationship you have with people is what builds it in as well. So I probably answered your question and gave you more as well in that, Grace. Any final thoughts on that particular topic?
Well, I think, yes, that's all very helpful, Kerry. I was also thinking that one of the things I have found so helpful about you as a coach is your own experience and your ideas, because I think sometimes when we try to shake it up, we shake it up within what we already know. And so what's really helpful is new ideas from someone who has experienced them themselves, to give us another perspective of what's on the menu.
Yes, in fact, we were talking about this, and my shaker cup here, the label's been taken off of it here, but often that's a great point. Often when we're in our business, we're like inside, we're the contents in this container, and we can only see within what's within that. But somebody else comes along and they're actually to see it from the outside, and they can actually read the label, and they can see it from a totally different perspective. And that's the really key piece. And that's why I think in the coaching world as well, certainly in the business coaching world, that the model that I use is not just pure coaching, which is that you know what you need to know because it's all within this container, is that you need the consulting piece of it. You need the actual how-tos and some practical strategies. You also need the mentoring piece, which is I've been there and done that, and had that experience. And thank you for acknowledging that. 17 years now as a business coach, I've seen a lot of things, and I know I pretty much know where things are going to be going. Of course, every business is unique, so we have to work within it. But there's the principles of business that happen, and that's a really key piece of having that other perspective on it, to shake things up, to challenge our beliefs, to challenge our notions about things. So thank you for that further clarification, Grace. I think that'll be great for our audience today. So what I want to do is we're going to wrap up this episode today. I just want to encourage all of you, if you have not had a chance to go to my website, HangOutWithCoachKerry.com, you can go on there and you can download my ebook, which is How to Get Out of Overwhelm and Accelerate Your Results. So please do go and download that. Also, you can find me on Facebook at Kerry Brown Coach. You can find me on Google Plus at Hangout with Coach Kerry. And I actually on Google Plus have a community as well. And please come and join me there. It's a place where I give tips and strategies and things to that community. I also offer discounts and promotions to it. So come on, join it. It doesn't cost you to do anything. And that is Kerry Brown's Passport to Growth Academy Small Business Coaching Group. So come on in and join me there and get some great tips and strategies and network with each other as well. So Bonnie and Grace, I'd love to just hear from you. What is your sort of big aha you're taking away from today's episode?
Well, I'll go first, Kerry.
Sure.
I think it's a really good reminder to look at what's going well already and then what needs to be changed in order to know what to shake up. So the reminder to measure what we're doing and measure the results is very helpful.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And Bonnie, how about for you?
For myself, it's just starting to shake things up, because I notice, after hearing you talk, I've noticed that what I tend to do is I focus on the things that are working, and I'll focus on them more, but perhaps I should be looking at other ways of creating interest and shaking it up in different areas as well, and creating a bit more diversity.
Great, excellent, good. Well, for those of you who are watching this episode, I hope that we have encouraged you to shake things up a little bit and to shake up 2015, and hopefully it'll look different at the end of the year than it does right now. I would love to hear from you. Please connect with me at HangOutWithCoachKerry.com, and we've got 40 other episodes there that you can watch and download at your leisure. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in today, and look forward to talking to you next week, 9 a.m. Pacific. All the best. Thank you. Have an awesome week. Bye-bye.